Good morning, all in the studio, as you can see, and I have a few things on my mind today that I thought perhaps we can discuss. Specifically, it's art show season, and I am been applying to art shows, visiting art shows, participating in art shows, all of the art show things. And I've kind of had this question in the back of my head about, is my art good enough? And I think this is a question that a lot of artists struggle with, and perhaps even a lot of human beings in general. And I think it's not necessarily about, is the art good enough? But the question we're probably asking ourselves is, am I good enough? So I thought perhaps we could kind of discuss this question as it relates to artists particularly, but I think if you're not an artist, you may actually gain something from this conversation as well. And I thought we could do that while I attempt to finish this painting. I'll flip the camera around and show you it. And also, I think this is going to be the last painting in this series. But before we jump into the video, here's a quick introduction, just in case you landed on this video and have no idea who I am or what this channel is all about. Hi there, I'm Stacy, the encaustic mixed media artist behind Studio Stacy. Encaustic literally means to burn in. So I paint with beeswax and a torch, and because it's mixed media, pretty much anything else I can get my hands on. If you're new around here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. Consider subscribing and joining this artsy community. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, which helps me get introduced to more like-minded artsy folks like yourself. All right, introduction is over, so let me flip the camera around here and show you this painting in case you did not see me paint the start of it, or to have a little bit of a refresher because it's been a little while since I've done this painting. All right, here's where we left off with the background being pretty much done, and there are some trees embedded into here, which you can't really tell very well, or some tree, the tree sketch, I should say, is embedded in. So my plan is to bring these trees to the foreground and paint the trees in this week's video. And I'm going to start with this color or these colors of paint, and I'm going to start with the sycamore tree, which is the tree in the middle. So I have the griddle turned on, torch is ready to go, some clean-ish paintbrushes ready to go on the palette, and we can get to painting. All right, and while I paint, let's discuss this good enough term or a question. I mean, really, what makes an artist, a painting, a human being for that matter, good enough? I think the word enough has a little bit of a negative connotation to it. The word enough means having a sufficient, adequate, or necessary amount of something, meeting requirements without needing more. Who's to say someone or something is enough? It's subjective, right? Like, it's personal opinion. I'd like to say enough is enough on judging others, and even possibly on judging others' creativity. And I realize that this is a controversial thought, as I am applying to and mainly only participating in juried art shows where there's judgment probably most likely being passed. The main reason I like juried art shows is that it curates a high quality professional exhibits and allows for a standard of technical ability and creativity. Essentially, a juried art show provides a filter. In theory, my artwork would be compared to art of a similar caliber and price range. I'm not really trying to sell a large piece of art next to someone per se that's selling fruit for $1. Just to kind of throw that example out there. I want to make sure that I'm in a show where apples and apples are being compared, or the same caliber artwork is being compared to the same caliber artwork. I'm not trying to compete with a lesser price point per se, or I don't even want to say a lesser quality, but I guess kind of a lesser quality, if you will. And who's to say someone's quality is less than mine, right? I'm not here to judge. But that is why I like to participate in these juried art shows. Kind of, I don't know if it's my justification for that, but that's the reason, to give you some sort of idea. And maybe perhaps what I'm saying is I'm starting to lose interest in the idea that someone is good enough or not good enough. I think that is a very unproductive idea. The yes-no way of looking at things is an impossible grading system, and it's also very unhelpful, I feel. I have been both rejected and accepted into multiple art shows. I don't feel this makes my art any better or any worse. It's all subjective. Of course, at the time, the yes feels very validating and the no feels almost a little heartbreaking. However, I try really hard not to dwell on those feelings and not to sit in that space or those feelings for a long time. All right, so I'm going to continue to focus on getting this tree painted, put a pin in this conversation for right now, and I will be picking you all up tomorrow to continue this conversation. So hang with me, stick with me, and for now, hope you enjoy this finished painting this tree, and we'll see you tomorrow. Morning all. Day 2 of working on this painting, and I'll flip the camera around here and show you the trees I'm thinking about painting today. I'm hoping to maybe get 2 more done, and they're the 2 smaller trees. Let me flip the camera around and I'll show you. All right, so I'm thinking about getting this tree done, and I know it's probably a little bit hard to see, but this is the pawpaw tree. And then if I pan on over to this tree, this is the other smaller tree. This is the dogwood tree. So I'm hoping to get those 2 small trees painted today. And then in theory, I'll only have 2 trees left to paint tomorrow. So let's see if we can get these 2 trees painted today. And while the griddle heats up and the electric Kiska there heats up, my little wax writing tool, I thought we could get back to the questions of maybe what we should be asking ourselves as artists as far as our painting goes. The "is this good enough" question is harmful, I think. I mean, it's rather judgmental, isn't it? The question I like to ask is, how does this painting feel? And probably more specifically, how do I want it to feel? It's a more curious question, and I think more helpful. It gives me something to think about other than, is this painting good enough? Am I good enough? Asking the question, how do I want this painting to feel? It becomes more of an interpretation. It's more emotional. There's more feelings in it, and the main focus becomes more about the creativity of the painting than is it good enough. The question of, does this painting feel how I want it to feel, is a much more powerful, nurturing question. A lot less judgmental. Judgment, I think, often acts as a right or wrong statement, whereas an expression allows for multiple distinct interpretations, right? There's room for people's interpretation. So you kind of shift from this judgment to expression. You leave room for nuances and different perspectives, and it allows for less absolutes. Hopefully this is making some sense. I think it's making some sense to me. I believe this is a more nurturing question, as it allows us, or gives us permission, to bring our own authentic emotions to our work. It transforms art into an act of self-expression rather than self-validation. It makes room for us to infuse our feelings into our art, and it doesn't, I think that when you infuse your feelings into your art, it shows through. Even though somebody may not express the same exact feeling about a painting or have the same exact feelings, a painting where I'm expressing maybe there's a little bit of sadness or angst or something like that. Somebody else may look at the painting and have a completely different interpretation of it, and that is fine. But I think when we bring our feelings to our artwork, it shows through. Hopefully this is making some sense, like I said earlier. All right, all. Got those 2 trees done. I'll flip the camera around and show you. And I think I will be, well, not I think, but hopefully, fingers crossed, I will be picking up the camera tomorrow and we will continue this discussion, hoping to get these other 2 trees done. We shall see. So yeah, we'll see you then. Good morning all, and picking back up where we started off, or where we ended with this painting rather, and also picking back up on this discussion of, does this painting feel how I want it to feel? All right, so today's plan, I'm going to start with this white pine tree, which you can barely see over here. But I have the colors out for the white pine tree. The little encaustic electric Kiska's heating up, and the griddle's heating up. And while that's heating up and getting ready to paint, thought we would pick back up on this conversation. And I think perhaps there might be a few other ways to ask this question about, does this painting feel how I want it to feel, that might perhaps answer that overall question. So the few other ways to kind of ask this question, or other questions to contemplate, would be, have I explored what I wanted to explore? Have I experimented with this particular idea or technique long enough, maybe perhaps this painting long enough? Does the artwork communicate what I intended it to mean or to communicate to me, right? So does it feel like I've communicated how I wanted to communicate, or what I want to communicate to me? And does this piece feel like me? does it resonate with me? Just a few other questions to maybe kind of contemplate. And I think they all lead back to, does this painting feel how I want it to feel? And I think when you can answer yes to any of those questions, or maybe even yes to multiple questions, it's easier to stand behind your work. You can be proud of what you created, right? Like you can say, hey, I created this beautiful painting. It could be like a culmination of a day's work, a month of exploring. But when you're answering yes to any of these questions, you can be proud that it's your creation. It's the raw and probably necessary expression that you brought to your work, or that I brought to my work, right? It's my personal expression, personal creation, and it's raw and meaningful. When a painting is authentic, when like you created this beautiful, authentic painting, and that's all you, it's so much easier to stand behind. It's easier perhaps even to hear that some negative feedback when an art show maybe perhaps rejects you or me. It's easier to say, you know what, that's okay, because I am still really, really proud of what I created. So I encourage you to kind of shift your thought process. Try shifting your focus to, instead of asking, is this good enough for them? Ask, does this feel right to me? And I'm also definitely trying to shift my focus in that direction. Easier said than done, I know, but I think it's really makes a world of difference to not only your art, but how you feel about yourself, and also how you feel about your art. But yeah, just bringing yourself to your art and pouring yourself into it, you can really stand behind it, I think. I know I've said that, but I'm really trying to shift my focus not to an external validation, but to an internal one. I think it's a transition from external judgment to authentic expression. The point is to move away from outside validation to then trusting my own or your own inner voice. All right, all. I was hoping to get this piece done in this video. However, I think I'm going to take my own advice here, because this piece is nowhere near done, and I don't want to rush it to get it done before this video comes out, because, you know, that's not I don't want to have this, put the feeling of hurriedness or a deadline that really isn't there into the painting, right? I don't want to put these feelings of rushing and anxiety and all of this stuff into this painting. So I'm going to flip the camera around, show you where we're at with this painting now, and it needs a lot. It still needs a lot, I think. There's a lot of shading that needs to be done to most of these trees, and it's getting there, but it's definitely not quite done, in my opinion. All right, so I'm going to step back here, give you the overall look of the painting, and then step forward and get a couple close-ups. And as you can see, like this particular tree right here, definitely blending in. This tree over here, which I just started doing, the American Beech, definitely needs a lot more color to it. The sycamore, oh, and this is the pawpaw tree, just in case you're curious. But yeah, definitely needs popped off, because as you get close you can see it, but I think from a distance it's really blends in. The sycamore tree is not bad, but again, I think that could definitely use some more shading. This one is, the small one here is the dogwood, and it's popping off fairly well, so that one is probably pretty good. And then this last one is the white pine. which again is popping off pretty good, except in some areas like this area here where that blue is really close to some of the greens and blues in the trees. So it's getting there, but like I said, I don't want to rush it. I don't want to put pressure on myself to get it done before I need to edit this video. So we're going to leave it here for now. All right, all. So I am just wondering, are you asking questions like, is this painting good enough? Or do you have a more, I guess, want to say positive way of kind of sorting out the feelings you have, or figuring out if a painting is done or not done, complete or not complete, or if your artwork, rather than using the term is your artwork good enough? Do you have another kind of question or thing that you think about? I would love to know. I want to try to put a positive spin on this. And of course, I always like hearing from you all and your opinions. I always learn so much from you all as well, because we all had different ways of looking at stuff. So I think it's important to kind of share that down there below in the comments. So if you wouldn't mind dropping down there, or if you just want to drop down and say hi, I'd love to hear from you. So at any rate, I am going to let you go here. Thank you so very, very, very much for coming along. Stay tuned in the next video. Fingers crossed. Not going to put that pressure on, but hopefully in the next video I will be finishing this painting. So we will see you again, or we will see you then, rather. We'll see you again too. But at any rate, thank you so much. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up if you liked the video. All right, y'all. Bye for now.